along the American River Parkway where Sacramento City Fire and some Cal OES crews are out here working on a controlled burn. They had 28 acres they want to try to take down this week. Possible extra 13 acres. There's some birds in there, and if they get out of there before the week's end, they might go out there and try to knock that out. But in the meantime, with fire danger especially high with the wet winter and a lot more growth, these guys want to knock out as much of this stuff as they can.
Why would it go forward in the old number to this number? The voicemail. I've had problems with Bill and with
You ready? Which way are you?
I'm just going to follow the fire.
And just walk out there and then do your thing. Okay, got it.
You ready?
Yeah, only because the wind's kind of 90 down there.
You can do it either way. So on always on that control line, you want to have it right on the control line. Now we're 19s right now. You want to just send them? 43s are supposed to swap out with 19s. Okay. We got our instructors with us on this?
They firing them?
Not both of these. He's going to manage control.
Oh, okay.
43 on the patrol.
All right. Sacramento firefighter Chris Harvey. We're along the American River Parkway where they're conducting a controlled burn here. Chris, let me ask you firstly, what's the purpose of a controlled burn like this one?
So this is part of a larger plan. We've worked with our partners here in the Parkway throughout the winter and into the spring to reduce these fire fuels. So in addition to some herbicide application that's been done by some of the utility companies and some livestock grazing that's been done closer to the Cal Expo area, we've identified 28 acres in this area that can be reduced by using live fire. This allows us to burn this area in a very controlled fashion early in the summer when temperatures are low, rather than having it burn out of control later in the summer, sometimes with catastrophic effects.
Now, the stuff that's burning, some of it looks green, although that might be sort of like a lull you into a false sense of safety, right? It sounds pretty dry from the sound of it burning.
Yeah, some of the fuels here still remain fairly moist. The water table was very high in the Parkway late into the year this year because of all the rainfall we had. The river stayed high late into the year, and so a lot of these fuels are still green, but they're starting to dry out with some of these weeks of over 100-degree temperatures that we're having. So it isn't an effective way for us to burn, and in fact, the green kind of slows the spread of the fire, allows us to keep a little more control on it, which is why we're doing it this week.
Now, that's one of the techniques for controlling a controlled burn. Can you tell us some of those techniques?
Yeah, so for us, it's important to try and burn these fuels when they're about this height. You know, waist height to chest height is about where we want to be. Any taller than that, like some of the fuels are over near Kellex, but we don't want to burn those because we don't have the ability to control that burn. The flame lengths get taller. We can have some downwind spotting. We can, be setting spot fires accidentally outside of the area that we want to burn. So we only burn when the fuels are about waist high, like you see behind here. We completely surround the area with fire crews, with hose lines, and everything that we need in case we have a fire. We can make sure it's extinguished if it's going outside of the lines, and then we are basically able to make sure that we don't have the fire jumping the lines and getting into areas where we don't want it to burn.
Now, let's say something happens and it does start to get a little out of hand. You guys are able to jump right into action, yeah?
That's correct. Anytime we do a live fire exercise like this, we make sure that we have a large weight of crews here, multiple fire engines, lots of people on the ground, so that we can put what's called a wet line all the way around it and keep the fire from jumping these fire lines and getting into areas where we don't want it to burn.
Right now, though, it looks like it's pretty well under control.
Yeah, one of the techniques that we use that's so effective is we start on the downwind side and we just burn one little slice at a time. We burn a strip and then we burn the strip next to it and we burn the strip next to it, and we work our way upwind that way. That way the fire cannot get out of control and burn downwind and burn out in an out of control fashion.
All right. Sacramento firefighter Chris Harvey, thank you for that, sir.